high, right? And that means that Shark isn't tied down to just hovering around the mid lane.
So you go by, BTK's initial plan in game 1, go fast and furious. They weren't going as fast.
Yeah.
They were definitely furious.
And BTK, with them picking up the Vixana, we saw it in that one series that BTK played up against Falcon.
Oh, they know.
It's like they want, you know what, just go ahead, pick up the glue. We have the Vixana with us.
Pop you.
Yeah. So if Vamos goes glue here, they might be playing into the trap. If Vamos ends up doesn't pick up the glue anyway, it's like the Vixanas will be somewhat diminished, but it'll still be a great pick overall because of what Gideon mentioned in what they can do in the center of the map with faster rotations. Gold laners, Bruno gone. The Beatrix Granger is still available for Zia. Excuse me. Yes, still
So they
available.
can ban Granger, put the Zia back on the Beatrix.
Yeah.
I suppose, but then you have that big issue of, oh, if I need to push you all the way up into your inhibitors, Granger isn't that guy who's like, I can take out structures in like 2 hits. No, he's more so, I want you to sit underneath your structures and I'll put your life to 1% to make you recall early.
Yeah, so I think it's unanimous. Beatrix would rather be the pick here for BTK.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they've already got the pickoffs and, ooh, Gatard.
All right, Gatot usually just show. It's usually a tell of a team playing around their gold laner. You're probably going to end up with someone who isn't that mobile, so that's why my head is just constantly leaning towards to what we mentioned before. It's probably a Beatrix, isn't it? And if it's not a Bea, it's a Granger.
Bea or Granger, that seems to be the trade. Both teams understand that. Is there room in Vamos for a Hylos? So they can easily close the gap? That seems scary to me, a ridiculous combo. If you go Hylos Granger for the Vamos closers?
If possible, I'd rather they get Khalid instead of the Hylos. The Hylos is a bit too honest in my book. The Khalid,
I think the problem is that they're on red side. They only get one prio pick after the bans are done. They get rid of the Arlets, same exact bans coming out for the side of Vamos. If they go for Beatrix here instead of going for something like the Khalid or even the Hylos or the Gatot, at this point, at the bare minimum, if they do give that over to Vamos' side, they have some form of disengage on top of high ground defense. So, hey, drop the Bennett's Rage and be like, all right, we're out of here.
see which trade they end up going for. Lots of options for both. That choke can still end up going to the EXP lane, but if ever they might play for that flex for last and then just pick their gold laner now, and they end up picking the Granger instead of the Beatrix. So that was one of the 2 options that we mentioned anyway.
At least the adjustment this time is to say, hey, Sicilion, if you are going to go for Purify once again, that's totally fine with us. We're just going to skill shot you down so you're out of the fight.
So if that's the case, are they just going to default back into Terizla for fried chicken?
I feel like they are, but that's why they want this very last pick to be a bit of a toss of the die, right? Because Vamos must reveal first, and if they go blind and say, if you're going to go Terizla, I'm going to play X-Borg, they can still adjust.
Oh, that X-Borg would be nasty with the Carmilla and Sicilian.
So now Vamos can't so easily do that.
Yeah. All right.
Leaves BTK here with the final say. So do they Beatrix? I think that's the next safest.
Yeah,
the
next
Beatrix Granger trade.
Yeah, 100%. They want to be super team fight heavy and get a good mix up with the Carmilla. They can go for something more unique like an Aerothel.
That they do.
Good call on the Irithel. I mean, really great lane matchup here because, again, the movement speed is going to be nice, and it really makes Granger's life a little difficult having to kind of position himself in a straight line against this Irithel who kind of runs around you. But the high loss is where I'm a little scared.
I actually like it. You mentioned how honest it is. Honesty sometimes is the best policy, you know? If you need to disengage, backwards, glorious pathway. If you need to stop the Granger in its tracks, force the Vixana to commit to a certain zone, drop it forward.
And this, the front to back of Vamos looks like a honeypot. Oh, is a honeypot because, again, Curse of Blood is active for them.
Exactly.
And that's the kicker. It's front to back. It's honest with a little bit of spicy dishonesty, you know?
It's sticky.
It's sticky. Yeah.
Spicy dishonesty, I love that. But now Phoveus is going to get locked in. There's not too many dashers on the side of Vamos, not too many procs, so Chicken, he's going to have to play a very clean game.
Yeah, this might be the Phoveus game of a lifetime coming in from Fried Chicken. That's what it feels like. Potentially the last game in BTK versus Vamos. Mirko, bring it up on the desk.
I think we're all waiting for the possibility of a maxed out 3-series game, but I'm not so sure if Vamos will let that happen since it seemed like they're pretty confident with their game 1 lineup and they're showing a very similar pattern heading into game number 2.
Hey man, the viewers back at home might want a full best of 3, but the people here in the arena, they want a clean sweep. Vamos 1-0 up on the Bloodthirsty Kings. And BTK, this is proving grounds for them. Can they walk the talk?
This is match point for Team Vamos, and they will definitely want to end this with a ticket to the knockout stage. Welcome to game number 2, and we'll finally see what are the adjustments that'll be shown to us by BTK this time around. I like what our panel mentioned about Team Vamos and their lineup being very honest. And for BTK, I think they just really need to approach it differently this time. They should be a little more coordinated in terms of their targets. It will be a struggle to constantly look out and pick off Zorn, considering the passive of Warlord. But I think that's one of the best ways to go around this entire composition of Team Vamos. You have to at least take out the threat of the Curse of Blood so you could operate freely when there's a team fight.
Yeah, they also need to just have more prio on the neutral objectives and secure neutral objectives early, right? The biggest problem for BTK in game number 1 was the fact that they weren't able to get a gold lead at the start of the game. That's a Master Assassin, by the way, for the Irithel. Great call from Renmar earlier. And yes, this Irithel is actually a pretty good way to match up against the Granger in lane. You can see Shark walking up. Nets will purify out. But man, that's a lot of damage. Concussive Blast from Shark. Doing a lot. Nets has regen though, should still be safe.
Could we say right now that BTK have realized now we don't want to really fight the mid duos as much anymore.
Yeah.
We want to rotate a little bit more towards the side lanes so we can split up or spread out the attention, because it seemed like it worked well for Team Vamos when they were able to like just tell the members of BTK to, now let's just fight constantly here in the mid lane and let our side lanes do their own thing, because it didn't work well earlier for Team Vamos. So now it seems like BTK, they're clearly showing us some adjustments here in the early game.
Okay, Shark will be clearing out the mid lane. Warlord level 4 on a signature pick, at least back when he was an MDL RQ Senna. Shark trying to deal with Warlord here. Baits out the Bat Feast. It will be a stun over to Mobazane. Chibi looking for a Spear of Alpha defensively. They've conceded it over. Chibi wins it out. Eternal Guard not connecting. White Chicken goes for the procs. And again, it's Vamos who secure the first turtle of the game. BTK pushed back to their own jungle.
And Zorn was the only one who zoned out Mobazane. Like, he was enough just so Mobazane couldn't actually penetrate that turtle pit. And we might just be able to pose the question of, wait, alright, Nets will be able to survive that, but he will have to purify it a bit. And going back, could this really be the way to go for BTK? I mean, we know that they constantly play around Mobazane, but you just lose a bit of attention towards Mobazane and how secure his farming is. These things happen. Deathly grabs to save him a bit, but Shark with a counter set up.
Yep, with a way to Dragon, but it gets pulled back. Now Zane is caught in the midst of it all. The Curse of Blood connects onto 3. Chicken the bouncing damage. He goes in for the Infernal Pursuit, but Warlord shows exactly why he is named a Warlord. He goes in and gets 2 kills at the start.
That is so unfortunate. Just when BTK attempted to commit it all, the Curse of Blood, the Battle Impact, everything was ready from Team Vamos. And not to mention how Chibi nearly goes unnoticed whenever there's a team fight. There's so much attention on denying all those potential setups here from Team Vamos. And that was a quick punish as well. Just when Shark thought that he could have had his hands on an ideal setup on the way of the Dragon, BTK need to be extra careful from this point onwards. I don't think it's nice to see them kind of be affected by the pressure.
They're definitely affected by the pressure here. Vamos are so good at playing the mental game on the other hand, right? It's almost like mentality. When it comes to just mentalities, it's Vamos all the way. It's uno, dos, tres, hala, Vamos. 1.6k gold lead with a composition again, just like in game 1, that should be losing in the start of the game, should be winning after the power spike. And Bloodthirsty Kings now, they're going to have to be very, very careful, like you said, but I think careful isn't really the word that they need to utilize now. Like, the word and the action that they need to utilize isn't careful. They got to go and fight. They got to go and take the gold lead back, because if they don't, Vamos are just going to steamroll through BTK.
Yeah, and I mean, they can do it as much as they want, right? Their lineup right now, it's so chaotic. We haven't even seen Nets participate in the team fights as much, but Shark definitely looking for his own target, but Warlord
Again.
keeps himself safe. And look at just how they're able to manage all the threats coming in from Shark and also securing the turtle while they're at it.
Shark is down. The Spear of Alpha from Mobazane was used defensively, and you can see the crowd go, wow, no! A pullback! What happened to who's HP bar? Curse of Blood onto 2. Zor with a petrifying Warlord pulls him back. Now Nets is gunning them down, forcing Zane to use the Spear of Alpha defensively again. Chibi in the back, going for the stun. Now on the Zia, forcing to flicker out. Mobazane unable to dish out damage. Chicken's running smooth down, and now he goes in front of pursuit. Will be able to find a kill, but a turret in the mid lane will fall, and Vamos takes it on. Chicken getting zoned away. Warlord, 5 minutes in, doing this much damage already.
A mid lane turret in 5 minutes. That's how focused Team Vamos were in the mid rotations and the mid duos here of BloodThirstyKings, and it seemed like they denied them so much, even of their own intentions of wanting to rotate out of the mid lane, because they had to constantly defend the pressure that was being put towards the mid lane. But right now, Nets might just be a target. There's a Purify as well, and he will make it out alive, not unless... Okay, he makes it out alive.
Divine intervention, Nets gets away. Chibi goes in deep. Shark has been slain. Chibi is trying to look for another kill, now jumping forward. Soul 7 ready, see stunned in. Chibi will get the kill to double, and smooth Alamak with the turret tank up.
7-1 is the kill score you're seeing right now. Team Vamos being very dominant in the first 6 minutes of the game. I mean, look at the goal differences already, especially in terms of the mid lane. This isn't the best situation we've seen for Hoon. He's been denied 2 games in a row.
It's the best situation for Vamos. Zane caught on the Sanguine Claws again, and man, Sanguine Claws and Bad Impact should not deal that much damage in the first 6 minutes of the game. That in itself is already going to be really tough for BTK. They're relying heavily on their frontliners to get in there and dive in. And Team Vamos are not letting that happen. 3 neutral objective takes for the Sicilian, who needs to be the one scaling. BTK, now they're in the thick of it all.
Yeah, at this point, they just really have to go for the trades. It's the most they can do, especially considering that even in the very brief moments you decide to show up, Team Vamos, they wouldn't think twice about dealing the damage. You would expect BTK to throw out just the same amount of poke. They have the Granger in their hands, they have the Big Sana. But it seems a little difficult for them to just throw out all the damage, especially considering when their frontliners decide to engage, it seems like there's no backing out. That's a huge difference in terms of Team Vamos and BTK's lineup. Team Vamos, at least they have the Moonlit Waltz, they have the passive, and they have the Glorious Pathway to get away whenever things just don't go their way. But BTK, it's a different story. Once they commit, there's almost no way out, especially considering the mobility that Team Vamos has in their hands.
Now they're just waiting for the late game, right? It's getting to a point where BTK are the ones waiting for late game. And I don't know, I feel like for Vamos, they're like, sure, we can play for the late game. If you want to play for late, it's all right, man. We're just going to play it slow, farm up again, Warlord stacking up like an absolute beast. So there's no real worry for Vamos at this point. It is all on BTK, the pressure, the game, everything. Warlord gets another there, and I'm really curious to see at 8 minutes how many stacks Mr. Warlord has on the Sicilian.
Yeah.
Because it's a 5,000 gold lead, and Warlord's doing so much damage. That's another free turret down below. BTK are just constantly forced to give away these neutral objectives, give away even structures. 8 minutes in, down to just the tier 2 in the mid lane and up top. It'll be a trade at least.
There you go.
Actually, is that impressive?
I don't think it's
It's not that crazy.
It's not that crazy.
It's pretty okay. It's like,
but I mean,
it's all right.
It's 8 minutes. We're 8 minutes into the game, but there have been a lot of team fights, I'd say. And another thing is probably I'm also curious as to whether we'll be seeing Warlord and Zorn not together at all in this entire game. But Nets early pickup on the Malefic gun. So talk about mobility, talk about range.
Yeah.
Team Vamos, it seems like they're well equipped to face whatever potential team fight we'll be seeing in the next few minutes.
And that was just Vamos who are going to control the neutral objective. Again, BTK don't really have an entry point over here. Oh. Warlord is just chunking Fly Chicken down. It's a tier 1 for a Lord. Not a good trade, but the only trade that BTK can get right now. Mobazane forced to S. Spear of Alpha. Backwards. Nets gets a turret up top too. BTK are just down to their base turrets in both side lanes now.
BTK though, how could they defend all of this? Because Mobazane decides to go in and he's just bursted down like that by Team Vamos. Vamos.
And Smooth makes a line for BTK to stay behind. Now you can see the recalls from Vamos.
Oh.
The easy server are roaring in Malaysia.
They actually formed the V in Vamos before they spammed all those recalls. And they're just simply waiting for this lore that they took in their hands. The lane equilibrium isn't that great, so BTK, they might find some ways to deal with this, but I don't know. Just look at the amount of damage Team Vamos is able to throw out, but Nets uses the heavy crossbow to get away, but Shark is punished by Team Vamos way before the Lord even gets to the base of BTK.
The Bloodthirsty Kings are down to their last set of turrets. A holy defense stands in the way of Vamos. But what's that to Warlord, who's fully stacked up? Smooth goes able to revitalize as well. Zone in the back line now. That's going to be Smooth taking a lot of hits. The Lord will be able to get into the vicinity of the turret. Zia goes in for some clear. Not the fastest of clear. The turret will be taken down in the mid lane, and the bottom lane should follow next. Nets heavy crossbow to take it down, and Vamos say, we're good, we're happy. Now we will prolong your suffering.
And that's a great showing of discipline from Team Vamos, because BTK clearly, they were ready to go. They were ready to look for a target. That was a concealed play used by Shark, who currently is standing on a 0-3, and that is not a great sign, especially if you aren't able to get the necessary trades out of it. So we're looking at an 8k gold lead in favor of Team Vamos, which is all the more reason for them to just hold on to this lead. They don't need to do anything crazy. They just need to play this by the book, because BTK, they're the ones who have to find a way to deal with all this pressure. We've seen them struggle in terms of wave clear earlier, so the second time that Team Vamos gets their hands on an objective... Wait.
How do they do it though, right? If there is a possible comeback angle, though it is like, what, very low at this point.
Yeah.
What do they have to do to make that happen? I don't know. Vamos, they just look too clean, in their composition with a lead like this looks a bit too impossible to make even a mistake happen, you know?
Yeah, even if Shark decides to go for a pickoff, like, Zia would probably have enough damage by now, but that doesn't entirely mean that you would get the upper hand in terms of the team fight. You would still waste resources just to take a single pickoff against Team Vamos. And by the time they know that, they have a lot of ways to counter it. Speaking of, Shark hasn't even had his hands on the setup yet, but he immediately gets punished right away!
Shark is down, Hoon is down, Chicken caught on the Sanguine Claws, Mobazane chased down, Chibi gets the double! Now it's Mobazane who's caught again, has a Spear of Alpha to walk away. They want to go for the end. Zia dashing backwards, BTK on the brink of elimination! Uno, dos, tres, vamos, say adios to BTK!
The retribution arc continues for the hometown villains, now turned heroes! Vamos indeed for Team Vamos!
In the home crowd, the taunt, it is fire, straight up fire on stage. Walking from one side to the other in front of the man who called them the easy server. Vamos are the ones to eliminate the Bloodthirsty Kings and their phenomenal run in the Swiss stage.
The clash of servers took an unexpected turn. It was a one-sided series for Team Vamos. Let's head over to our panel and have them break down that series for all of us.